Hey everybody, it's Dave, and welcome to Boiled as an Owl. I'll be your host for the next 30 or so minutes, and today we're going to dive into the principle of hope. And you've heard me talking the last two episodes about the unmanageability, powerlessness, and the utter insanity of my life 5 years ago, leading up to that point. And what I am working with tonight is the concept of hope. So, you're on this journey. You're trying to get sober. You're in recovery. You're trying to kick your habit. You have literally, in your rearview mirror, demons that are so freaking enormous that you can't even fathom how in the hell you're going to conquer all of this. The demons have a hold of you. You're possibly struggling with the fact that family no longer trusts you. Maybe you've burned so many bridges that you just don't even know where to begin. Your brain's on fire, your body's on fire, you're trying to detox, maybe. You're trying to get to a point where you got to try to make sense of things because everything is so askew and so blown out of proportion. And you're in this place where you're like, oh my God, how in the hell am I going to come back from this hell that I've been in? And, step one was to admit powerlessness. We had to admit it. We had to realize that we were crushed and really just cracked open, raw and broken, and we were just shells of who we used to be. And the key here is we started our journey with honesty. We stopped lying to ourselves. We stopped doing harm to ourselves. We decided to stop harming the people we loved. We decided to stop harming family members and relatives and just friends and people in our lives that meant something to us. And we realized that it was time to embrace the change necessary to get us to another level, because we realized at some point through that gift of desperation that we were no longer in control of anything. And all we wanted was to have some kind of control, but we lost it. We lost all semblance of it. We lost all sense of it. We just lost it. And, there's beauty in the breakdown. There's beauty in the powerlessness. And, you have to understand that at some point you did this because you needed to do this. I know a lot of people who come into the program or try their hand at sobriety recovery, and they're doing it, because they don't want to lose their wife. They don't want to lose their kids. They don't want to lose this. They don't want to lose that and what have you. But I feel like when we're dealing with this monster of addiction, mental obsession, and first, many, the body being part of the equation too, having the drug of choice being in the particular body that it's in and causing the phenomenon of craving and needing more and this and that. And then you're just having the obsession of the mind. You're fixated on this thing, getting your next fix, getting your next high. I need to get drunk. I got to figure out how I'm going to drink today. Those are all different levels of addiction. There comes a point where you have lost that battle and, you used to control it, but now it controls you. So what does that mean? Well, that means that at this point, we're defeated to the point where we have to surrender. And, the sad reality is we have a mindset in place that's extremely detrimental, depraved, just one filled with probably malice, resentment, irritability, being discontent, ready to drop into anger at the drop of a hat, because every nerve is just raw and open, and everything just sucks because you're not using your normal numbing agent now, and you're actually feeling life from a very vulnerable and very, very grief-stricken and sad place, most likely, because I don't think people go into recovery from a place of joy and happiness. Most addicts and alcoholics are very broken people, and we're just at the end of our ropes. So, that's just how it is. And it's okay, because I go to meetings and I see all walks of life. You got people that are just coming in off the street, down to people who make, millions of dollars a year. I mean, look at all the actors and actresses and all the quote unquote, high society people who love to party, do drugs, and do all that, and basically fall from grace and fall flat on their face. And, they're the pariahs now. And, oh my God, I can't believe that guy's a drug addict. Whoa, what a terrible human, And unfortunately, the way we damage our families and our friendships too is, we're not present. We don't give a crap about anybody else's needs but our own. And we're really just trying to constantly figure out how to just get the next fix and the next rush. And that's the sad truth about it. So what do we do with all that? We're asked to start conceptualizing a power greater than us, because when you're in active addiction, you're the center of your universe, and you're manipulating all the people and the things in your life in order to allow yourself to get your next to your next happy place, I'll say, because it's just a better way of seeing it, right? Turn that frown upside down, if you will. And, you start stepping on people's toes, and you start arguments, and you start flipping out because you can hear them yapping in the background, but all you give a shit about is how you're going to get where you need to go. How are you going to make it from 8 a.m. to noon? This is what I hear from people. I am a different animal altogether in regards to my addiction. My addiction mostly was LSD. I didn't have the phenomenon of craving, but I had the obsessive mind. I had the mind that made me want to lie, cheat, manipulate, and steal, and get what I needed to get in order to, have fun. And a lot of my problem was my environment and and the people I hung out with. My dad used to say, if you hang out with a guy who limps at the end of the month, you're going to be limping too. And I used to scoff at that and laugh. And then, 2020 hits, and I'm like, wow, maybe this dude is right. I started looking at the people I was keeping around me, and we were all just out there freaking, chasing the next show, chasing the next drink, figuring out what drugs we were going to line up to take so that we could have a fun weekend, 4 days of just lollygagging and flipping out and doing that. So I just got sick of it. I just did. I just couldn't take it anymore, and I didn't want to be part of it anymore. And I just admitted defeat. And then when I did that, my spiritual awakening really blew my mind. And I've had several since the first day getting on my knees. But, I got into the program, started working the steps with my sponsor, and I just prayed. I did. I prayed every day. A lot of people are like, well, what are you praying to? And I said, well, I'm praying to my higher power that I call God. And I understand this thing. And I understand it from the perspective of, it's the source of all things. So I like I said in the other episodes, I don't believe in a being who's, waiting to give us a review of the life we had and then, tell us, oh, hey, you're going here because you did that, or you're going there because you did that. That's not what I believe. I do believe that when we do die, there's a life review, because I do believe we're souls and we're just, rocking these bodies and trying to make sense of a place where, it's sometimes the most dark, most dense, angry, shitty place you could imagine. And then, when you stop digging the hole of, oh, why me, why me, why me? And you start filling the hole with, wow, I stopped digging. I'm now filling this hole, and I'm actually getting my head above the rim, and I'm starting to see life again, right? That's the hope. All of a sudden, you were in this dire, horrible place, and you stop digging. You start filling the hole with hope, with people that you're on this journey with, who are in the same boat as you, that understands your grief and your sadness and your horrible, self-hatred. And you start looking at the groups, and the groups, for some people become the higher power, because that's all they have in the moment, and they don't know anything else. And they're so broken that they have to believe that there's got to be something better than what they're living now. And, I lost a lot of things in sobriety. I also didn't have a lot of things, so I was lucky. But, when you start losing housing and, children start getting pissed at you and decide that they're not going to talk to you anymore because you're a clown or you're an asshole, and then your parents don't want you around, and other people don't want you around either, because all you do is bring your cloud of doom with you, and you're raining on everybody. You get to a point where the only people that will love you back to yourself and help you get back to that person are the people that you go to meetings with. And nothing changes if nothing changes. So if you want a complete and utter change in your life, you have to give up a lot of shit. You got to stop going to bars. You got to stop going to concerts. You got to stop doing the things you used to do with the friends. There's the friends who are going to stay on drugs and keep ripping it up and raging and partying. And, they might have been your great buddies, but you got to put some distance between the two of you, because you know what? You guys are now starting to go on two separate railroad tracks. One track is going down an inevitable path of destruction, and for whatever reason, something got through to you that, hey, there's a better way to live than this. And it's so amazing when that happens, because you start looking around and you're like, holy shit, there is a better life. Because I just went to some meetings and I heard some people talking and they're laughing. And I hate to sound cliche, but it's true. These freaking people are laughing about their problems. They're laughing about the arrests they had. They're laughing about how they got DUIs and this and that. And you're sitting there going, God damn, these people are batshit crazy. Like, how the hell are you laughing about this shit? And I think when you first get in, you can't laugh because you think everything's so horrible and serious. And, some people are facing jail time. Some people are facing, charges that are really bad. And, they could possibly be going away for a long time sitting in a jail cell. Some people have just gotten out of jail. They have nowhere to go. And so they go to meetings because they're told to, and then there's people who had to go to detox. There's people who've had to go to treatment centers because they just cannot stop drinking. There's people who are so sick mentally and physically, like they're literally at death's door, and the doctors and the family members, the kids, the wives, you name it, they're all saying, please, if you don't stop this shit, you're gonna die. And they keep going. There's people that they're in the hospital for 3 weeks. They're so sick, septic blood, you name it, and then they come out. They're good for like 2-3 weeks, and then they go right back to drinking again, and they don't, and they can't stop, even though they know that they're gonna die if they keep this behavior up. They keep going. And those people, when you see those people have the miraculous spiritual awakening, and you see them come up from this dire, dismal life, and all of a sudden 5 months goes by, they're thriving, they look happy, they have a glow about them, and all of a sudden it's 8 months, and then a year, and they're like, and you're like, holy shit, they made it a year. Like, if they could do it, I could do it, and you start seeing them grasp this very simple program. And more than anything, they're trusting the people in the program. They're trusting their sponsors, and they're just trusting that if these people are indeed happy and they're showing signs of prosperity, growth, expansion of purpose, and like they're really taking the solution very seriously. They're taking their body, mind, and spirit through recovery, unity, and service, those 3 legs of the program, and they're using those things because you're seeing them. There's the people that chair the meetings, there's the people making coffee, there's the greeters, and then there's the people who, they're sponsoring, and they have sponsees, and they're taking these sponsees through the steps. They're all creating this sense of hope. And step 2 is that you believe a power greater than yourself can restore you to sanity. And, the whole focus of step 2 is the restoration of hope. Because at some point, we realized we couldn't manage our own lives, and we think we need something outside of ourselves or something bigger than ourselves that's a part of us to help bring about a miraculous sense of hope through change in behavior, change in perception, and change in attitude. Most people, when they first get into any kind of 12-step program, you can see the bitterness, the resentment, the anger, the frustration, and the fear. You can see those things. They're very palpable. When you see, when you're in a meeting and someone who's brand new just comes into the rooms and they sit next to you, you can feel the energy that's so scattered and displaced, and just this like feeling of no possible miracle could happen to me. Why would my higher power, God, or whatever you want to call your understanding of a higher power, why would that higher power want me to change? Why would it give me the opportunity to grow? What's so special about me? You know? And that's when you when you start learning that AA is a we program. So instead of worrying about me, that's why you got to get your ass into service, right? You start helping people. You start getting people's names. You start shaking hands, you know. You start having a commitment to make your coffee, and you have to get there earlier, right? You have to get there half hour early, and the chairperson will be there and some other people. And, you know, you might even have a nice little chat before the actual meeting starts. And who knows, maybe you have people in the program that'll give you rides to because maybe you lost your license because you have too many DUIs, or, you know, you fucked around with too many drugs, and and instead of paying your bills, you decided that you were just going to get high, you know, and you lost the chance and the privilege to drive because you couldn't pay your bills, you know. And then there's the people who haven't lost anything. They still have the beautiful mansion, the cars, all that stuff. And even they start taking commitments, because at the end of the day, hope goes hand in hand with humility. And humility is allowing yourself to help other people that are in dire straits like you. Because for whatever reason, the program of AA, NA, any anonymous program, 12-step program, has a lot of spiritual axioms in place. And that's where the actual magic happens. Because when you need something, the best way to go about getting it is to literally give it away. That's why the 12th step is so important. Because once you have this knowledge and you can take people through the steps, you now have something to transmit. And that's why strenuous work with another alcoholic or addict keeps you sober. Because you take yourself out of the equation and you start giving back to others what was freely given to you. When you do that, what ends up happening is miracles start happening. Your life starts changing. You start by getting up every morning and you start being grateful because you got a second, sometimes third, sometimes fourth chance at life. And you start to really relish in that gratitude. And then you stop taking shit for granted, because you realize that up until you decided to do something about your addiction, you didn't give a shit about life. You found life to be mundane and just blah. And every day was freaking Groundhog Day, because all you could do was figure out a way to score, you know? And I think, you know, we get to this point in our addiction where nothing is going to happen for us unless something severely changes. And that's why we need a complete and utter and total transformation of the body, the mind, and the spirit. Because if we don't have that, we're going to stay stuck in the past. And the past is going to eat away at us. And then all that hope and all that honesty is going to go to hell. So the beautiful part about step 2 is you've decided that you're no longer going to play God in your in the play that you're writing, you know, and that you're orchestrating. You've decided that you're going to give up control, because at the end of the day, none of us have any control, right? The only control we have is how we show up. And yeah, you could control people with violence, and you can control people with fucked up shit and really ruin their lives and cause them to become so weakened that they're like, oh, this person's in control. But that's not real control. That's the complete opposite of control. That is forcing some people to do what you need them to do, right? So there's dictators, there's all that stuff, and there's a lot of evil shit happening on the planet, and most of that stuff is created by the minds of men and women who want to dominate and terrorize others, and in a sick, perverted, twisted way. Some of that might even be out of love, but it's the love of power, the love of money, the love of greed, and not the love of humanity. You know, I do believe there are people that do some pretty shitty things. And in a weird way, they're doing it because they believe they love their families. And so they don't care who they kill or harm in order to have that form of control so that they can give to their families. But you know what? All that shit's ego. None of that is love-based. And, you know, that's just where it's at. So when you're in the process of giving up control and then asking a power greater than yourself to restore you to sanity, to take your life and run with it because you just don't know how to run your life any longer, you start seeing change happening because you learn how to pray. You learn how to meditate. You learn how to quiet your mind. You learn how to sit in the discomfort, and you start understanding how to maneuver a lot of suffering, right? And that's the other thing. I think a lot of people who end up alcoholics and addicts, they have a lot of rejection in their lives. Some people have abandonment issues, and other people have abandonment issues as well with this need to control. And I feel like anybody who has to control anything to make their life feel a certain way, like I got to control this situation to feel safe, or I got to control this situation to feel love, then what they end up doing is they start creating chaos and dysfunction. And I think most of those people were born in chaos and dysfunction to begin with. And in order to make sense of life, I think we tend to turn to alcohol and drugs or other things like cigarettes or overeating or overspending or porn or sex, you name it, anything to fill the hole, because we perceive the fact that we don't have any control. And in knowing that, I think we end up trying so hard to find a way to feel better about life. And so, you know, what does alcohol do in the beginning? It gives you the ability to break free from, you know, this inner prison. You know, you take a drink and you get warm, and then the next thing you know, you're like, oh, look at me, I'm dancing and I'm talking and I'm king of the world. And so I think people chase that, and the more they chase it, the more they find that they need something outside of themselves in order to recreate those feelings. And so that's why I think a lot of people do drink and do drugs or shop or whatever to fill that void, because at least when they're in that space, they are feeling like they are in control. And what ends up happening is you drink that extra drink, you know, you snort that extra line, you shoot that extra freaking, you know, heroin, And the next thing you know, you are no longer in control even in those situations because you've lost all mental acuity and the ability to even control yourself. So all the things we turn to inevitably end up turning their backs on us, you know? And so who am I to say there's no such thing as God or no such thing as a higher power? You know, oh, well, science. Yeah, I know. Science has proven a lot of shit. And I think science is great because I think we need to marry science and spirituality and not one or the other. But, you know, we have a universe, and everything in this freaking universe, aside from us, seems to be perfectly created. You know, there's a balance point to everything in the universe, and it seems like the only thing that is out of balance is humanity. Like, we don't have an off switch. But, you know, at some point, there's going to come a point where we might have an off switch and it'll come back into balance. I don't know when, but I also know this. I used to not believe in God. I thought God was a bunch of bullshit. And I don't know, this last 5 years, there's been a lot of miracles that have happened in my life. I've seen a lot of miracles happen in the rooms, and I've seen so many people that were crawling on the floor finally stand up with their head held high and their hearts towards the sky, and this sense of just beauty and egoless pride, you know, because you can have pride without ego. And you watch them and they're like, holy cow, that's freaking amazing. That person is now helping me to maintain my sobriety because I know that if they can do it, I can do it. And I'm doing it. And other people are happy because they see me doing it. And they're like, holy shit, I can do it too. And that is the rippling effect of hope. It's hope. Second step. Something's going to help our minds be restored to sanity. And you just have to, you know, even if you're white knuckling it, just give it a chance. Just give it a chance. And even if you don't believe in God, that's fine. Believe in the group. That's fine too. Whatever you need to. You can define this higher power however you need to. Give it the traits that you would to, like, you know, the loving parent, the supportive role model, you know, whatever you can attribute to your higher power, whatever you can assign it the traits to, that's what's going to give you the chance to believe in a higher power of your understanding. Because you don't have to believe in my higher power, and I don't have to believe in yours. You get to create your higher power. And that's how we get led down this road of hope. So, until next time, this is Dave. Sorry, my throat is very dry. But until next time, it's been wonderful guiding you through all this. And I'll leave you with this. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Have a great day or night whenever you're listening to this. Take care.